School. Despite what you think about it, that place brings back a lot of memories, good and bad. Think of what you remember about school at the top of your head. Field trips, recess, lunch with friends, pranking the teachers, etc. But you know what you don't often remember? What you've actually learned. Why is that? Welcome to the final episode of the Things I Hate About School trilogy. The first video was just general annoyances that basically everyone can agree on, like snitches. The second episode was me talking about reopening schools and how I didn't like it at the time. And actually, I've been wanting to make a quick follow-up to that video because I felt like I was going to be called out about this eventually. Because in that video, I complained about having to wear masks, and then in my reopening schools video, I complained about people not wearing their masks properly. So let me clarify, I am for wearing masks for health reasons, I just don't like wearing it for comfort reasons. That's still not an excuse to not wear the thing. Anyways, this episode will be wrapping up the series with a simple question. Why? Why does school have these elements that made me make not just the 2 other videos, but countless others where I complain about school in some way? Sure, you might say it's a thing where, since everyone goes to school, it's a thing that most people can relate to. That's also why comedians always do the, what's the deal with airline food thing.
What's the deal with airline food?
And if all those complaints were just, Billy called me a poo-poo head at school, then I wouldn't be making this video. However, many people seem to agree that there is a massive issue with the way school is formatted. But how's that? And what could be done? Well, let's break down a typical school day and see what there is to improve on. First things first, waking up. Having to wake up at 7 in the morning, for some people as early as 5 in the morning, is the stupidest thing ever. Studies have shown that students do better with later starter times. In fact, my current high school has actually done this experiment. On Wednesdays, because of teacher meetings, school for me will start at 9:15 instead of the normal 8:10. That extra hour we get actually makes me feel a lot better. I'll actually be ready to get up in the morning instead of having to crawl myself on the floor. And many people also agree with this. So, if this system works, why? Why do we have to get up so early? Because the teachers also have to get up early to go to meetings? They made that choice to be a teacher. They can suffer if they want to, but we didn't choose to be a student. We were forced here. Yet here we are, waking up when it's still dark outside, and then the teachers yell at us for having our heads on our desks? What on earth do they expect? Me to be all bright, dancing around at 6 o'clock in the morning? I'm not nocturnal. I'm not only awake when it's dark, man. Have some mercy. Then, you actually get there. Not only expect us to not be tired at all, but also expect us to sit and shut up for an hour as we sit through non-stop lecture. In fact, the way the lecture system is designed at schools currently was made to turn out factory workers back in the Industrial Revolution. Over 200 years ago. And they expect us to adapt to that system, which has barely changed since the age of, well, no America. I mean, when you think about it, it makes 100% sense, as you're forced to follow the instructions quickly and are rewarded for doing so. Exactly what you would need to do in a factory. However, we're in the 21st century. All the factory jobs are in China, so there's no need to keep the system this way. And yet, when they actually teach us stuff, they don't teach us stuff that's useful. Like, I didn't even know until this year that you have to actually calculate your taxes. And if you pay too much or too little, you go to federal prison. I thought the government just told you what you owe. You know who could have taught me that? The place I go to for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. You know who didn't? That very place. But don't worry, guys. At least I know the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Sure, I have also not been taught my basic human rights, or how to get a mortgage, or the laws of my city, state, and country. But come on, at least I know the difference between igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Well, Brady, if kids want to be a geologist, then of course they need to know the difference between those rocks. And if they're going to study cells, they're going to need to know what the mitochondria is. That's fair. However, that's another thing we need to change. We need to have more elective classes. Yes, I know colleges have them, but the issue is you're expected to know what you want to do in college without having really been given an opportunity at school to learn the different options. Sure, some types of people would still need to learn about the mitochondria and that type of thing. However, kids interested in a biology path later in life can then choose to have that class as an elective. While the other main classes everyone is forced into can be stuff that everyone needs to know, such as taxes, how to budget, and basic math and English skills. Of course, this sounds utopian, and pushing for that kind of change in a system that hasn't since the 1700s is the equivalent of waiting for me to have a constant upload schedule. However, I think we can all agree that, at the very least, we need to drop a lot of what we currently learn and replace it with something we'll actually use in our lives. Also, the nature of having to sit for that 7 hours and are only given about a half hour of time to talk to your friends. I understand you don't want us talking while you're teaching, that's fine. But why do we get yelled at for talking in the times you're not teaching? The only thing we can interrupt then is each other. And don't act like you teachers don't leave during class to talk to the other teachers anyways. Listen, You let us talk whilst you're not teaching, and I'll make sure your wife doesn't find out you're flirting with a female teacher. Now's the part of the video where I have to clarify that this is a joke and does not actually apply to any of my IRL teachers, because schools care about this kind of thing. Actually, that's the next part of the education system I want to talk about. The invasion of our home lives, in particular, homework, and them monitoring what we do outside of school. I complained about homework in the first upload. However, I really need to reinstate how dumb it is. Think about it. We already spend 7 hours of our day at school, which is already around the same amount of time as people who work a 9 to 5. But then on top of that, we're expected to work way more hours doing homework. We're working longer days than most people with good paying jobs. We're only just like 3 years behind playing Roblox. But yeah, man, we're totally reasonably expected to work on homework for 3 to 4 hours, on top of some kids having things like sports. Also, there's the whole invasion of our home lives thing, like teachers caring about what we post on social media outside of school. That is stupid. Why do you guys care that some students said the F-bomb on Twitter? It doesn't affect you, it wasn't said at school, and it wasn't directed at any of you. Who cares? It doesn't make the school look good. That's like saying I can't complain about McDonald's because the fast food employee literally threw my drink at me because it doesn't make them look good. Now, back to the homework thing. Am I suggesting we completely botch homework? No. What I am saying is to A, lower the length of a school day, or B, limit the amount of homework we get. And the limiting of the school day thing is something my school did for several months because of the CV. And it worked just fine. At least from what I've noticed, the homework percentage hasn't really increased/decreased all that drastically since we're back to full days. So, why do we go for so long? And so early? It's touched on most of our daylight hours, which, yes, I still probably waste playing Minecraft. But at least then, the only thing I'd get to blame for that is myself. Even 2 hours less can make a huge difference. Because, let's be real here, by hour 6 in a school day, you don't care about anything that is happening, and you just want to jump out of the window on the 3rd floor. Because at least then, you would get to get out of school early by going to the hospital. Finland, for instance, who I've praised in the past before for their education system, their kids start their school day at around 9:45 and only go for 5 hours. A simple change like that could massively improve productivity and willingness to actually learn. One final thing. Why do schools expect us to only go to the bathroom once in a 7-hour period and don't let us go? I get it. Some kids leave class to simply get out of class. However, if I was a teacher, I'd rather have that than having to clean up pee off the floor. So what have we learned from this video? Well, we need to make school more engaging, extend the start time, and lessen the school hours / the homework amount, which has already been tried and tested in many other countries and works extremely well. While this seems like something that many can agree on, since as I mentioned, these things have been tried and worked really well in other countries, yet it hasn't been done here. And I hope that with this video, I convinced you guys on why we need those changes, and hopefully, our generation can work on actually improving schools for the better, since it hasn't changed since like the 1700s. I'm just kidding about all this, of course. The real issue is that school buses need to add seatbelts. Whee! Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've done an end card, and also I'm going to be a lot quieter than normal just because it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning and people are trying to sleep. But I just wanted to say thank you all for 300 subscribers. We have hit the next milestone, and I am very thankful for that. I am going to try to do something. It may take a while, but I am going to try to do something for this milestone. And second of all, sorry for any audio glitches that happened in this video. I tried cutting most of them out, but, there were so many of them that some of them, still managed to stay in the video. So, I'm really sorry about that, but iMovie's being really stupid now, and this is a lot more prevalent than it was before, several months ago. So, I'm sorry, but thanks for watching.